Okay, water signs. Welcome to your daily focus tarot for today, Tuesday, the 23rd of August. So, this has been a tough month for you, and this is a interesting reading. So, you've got nothing but swords. Basically, swords, I'll tell you a little bit about them. They represent the air sign, which you are water signs. Air signs would be Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. So swords represent air signs, or air itself. They represent north. They represent above, right? And you want the swords pointing up. So they also represent double edge. So double edge meaning like this side of the sword and this side of the sword. So two cutting edges. So in that regard, they represent balance, and they represent balance between good and evil. So like power. You want, if you're going to throw a blade or if you're going to use a blade, you want it to have a good balance. You want it to be equal on both sides. You want both sides of a sword to be sharp, because that will do the most damage. You don't want, rust or a dull blade, right, if you were going to use a sword. So swords representing thoughts, they're representing a balance between good thoughts and bad thoughts. So good and evil is sometimes how swords are interpreted. Sometimes they're interpreted in terms of like yin or yang, male or female, and not male or female in the physical body, but in the spiritual sense, like divine masculine, divine feminine. So like father and mother figure. So your leadership abilities and your nurturing abilities. So having a balance between them. It can also be thought of as a balance between work life and personal life. They can also be thought of, because they are cutting, they can be thought of as, swords can be thought of as ambitions, as conflicts for like an obsession with power that causes conflicts. They can be thought of as abuse sometimes. They represent action and change. So that's a little bit about swords. And now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about aces. So an ace, it can be, aces in card games are usually considered higher than a king, but sometimes they are considered a 1. It depends on the card game that you're playing. And the Druidcraft says, let me see, the Druidcraft counts it as 1. So it says the number 1 signifies beginnings, the start of something, but it also has a wonderful resonance to completion, totality and wholeness, to the fact that, quote, all is one, unquote, and how could there be anything else? So in this regard, aces are representing the ending and the beginning of something. And the Druidcraft says the message of the aces is the gift is offered, it is possible, you can succeed, beginning, fulfillment, completion are all offered to you, and potential. So now we're going to talk about Ace of Swords, because you have it twice. Ace of Swords is considered the inspirational breakthrough. It is the clarity. It is your clean break, your victory. It is your ability to focus on something. And you'll notice it has the laurel wreath. So it has this golden hand, the Midas touch, the ability to create anything that you want to create. It has the crown here, so like the head. And the sword itself, the hand, the golden hand is holding the cutting blade of the sword, but it's not being cut because it's covered in gold, right? So instead of holding the hilt like you should be, you're holding on to these cutting these cutting thoughts, but you're not being cut by them. You're not being hurt by them because you're using your crown chakra, your spiritual, to control these thoughts. Notice the sword, the tip of it is in the crown. Even though it's pointing upward, it's not hurting the crown. So these thoughts are not hurting you. There's golden fire here, bookending this. So the fire is inspiration, it's love, it's rebirth. Think of the phoenix coming out of the fire. So this is a victory over something spiritual, something that you were dealing with in terms of your thinking. And to clarify, 10 of Swords in the reverse, I'll show it to you in the upright so you can see what it looks like upright. There's the obvious analogy of the backstabbing, but this is also in the upright a card of completion. It can be a card of surrender in the upright too. So when it's in the reverse, it is a liberation. It is a card of change. That's when it's really, really a card of completion. Excuse me, although it can be card of completion in the upright. When it's in the reverse, it's especially a card of completing a cycle. So hope, renewal, recovery, acceptance of something that was inevitably ending, right? So you've been thinking about this for a long time, you've been dealing with this for a long time, and your readings have reflected that lately, and now it's coming to a close, right? This is ending, and you have hope. The other card that came out initially with the Ace of Swords in the upright was Page of Swords. So this is a card of being a student. It can also be a card that's about like a stalker or somebody doing something magically they shouldn't be. But to me, this card is more about you have this knowledge, you're holding it up in the air, like in the ace, except she's got her hand on the hilt here. She's refusing to touch the knowledge. She's refusing to even look at it and acknowledge it, that it's there. She knows what the knowledge is, but she's not wanting to deal with it, right? So that brings us to the second time you have Ace of Swords. This is from the Druidcraft, and I'll show it to you in the upright before I flip it down again. Aside from the obvious, the Lady in the Lake handing Arthur Excalibur, the sword that will help him rule the kingdom. And the kingdom in this sense is yourself, your soul, your heart, your mind, your body. More so the spiritual than the physical, right? Because it's a tale of spirituality. So in the reverse, if you hold it like this and you hold the two cards together, the sword is literally going to stab her in the heart, right? So in the reverse, the Ace of Swords it's your thinking destroying your emotions and your spirituality. It's insecurity, confusion, chaos. When it's in the reverse, you're rethinking an idea because this is causing you heartbreak. This is causing you emotional upset, basically. You're feeling cut off. You're feeling, judged. You're feeling like you're not appreciated for who you are. So what you need to do, instead of running away from this knowledge, instead of running away from these feelings, you need to face them. You need to look at this sword, right? You need to look at this thinking, what you're thinking about, what you know, you need to face it. And look, she's got one foot on the ground here and one foot like she's about to take another step on her path. You need to take that step onto your path because you need this ending. You need this hope and this recovery. And you can have it. This is a golden hand. This is a laurel wreath. This is victory. Excuse me. So you can have this. You need this peace of mind. You can't keep going the way that you've been going, right? Something has to give. Something has to change. And it shouldn't be you. You shouldn't have to break yourself for this, right? Whatever this is that's going on, you deserve to have a healthy, happy life. I pulled one card from the unicorn deck. It says, hello and goodbye. You'll soon see that this change will make things better. And I think that it's a very appropriate card for this reading. It's hard to change, but it's necessary, especially when something is hurting you so much. It's really necessary. Even though it's scary, change is something that's constant in life. It's not always a bad thing to change. A lot of times it's a good thing. It helps us grow. And that's what we're here for on earth. We're a soul and a body, and we're here to grow as a soul. Not to remain stagnant, not to always experience the same things over and over again. We're here to learn from the stuff we experience and then move on to another learning experience. So at the bottom of the ethereal visions and what's hidden from you, what's in your subconscious, we have the artist. Now this is a card of vision. This is the messenger of the gods. He's got his book of knowledge open. He's looking at the tree of knowledge, the tree of life, and he's getting a vision for what his future is going to be. Notice this castle, this home, this spiritual, this body for the spiritual being, this vision that he has, he's going to put it into practice. And underneath that, we have the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups, we have the crow here, the raven. Be it thought, be it memory, it doesn't matter. It's bringing this flowing of golden water onto this golden hand. So it's bringing this creativity, this flow of life, this flow of spirituality and emotions. Of water represents purity. Our bodies are like, you have to stay hydrated because our bodies are like 70% water. The majority of our body is water. And you need that. You need that emotional rebalancing and resetting. You need to get back into the flow of life. So what you should focus on for today is to face that knowledge and to deal with that knowledge, okay? Even as hard as it is, you have people around you who will support you and who will help you. You might need to simply ask. They might not know what's going on, or they might think you're not wanting help, but you have help. When I said they might think you're not wanting help, I saw the time and it was 14:14. I think it was you. I said 14 something on a time too last week. You should look that up, because I don't normally look at the time when I'm doing these, but the last couple weeks it's been having me look at the time every so often. And it's always 1 and 4. So have a great Monday. I'll see you tomorrow.